Hello and welcome back to Jack Knives Reviews. I'm of course your host, Jack Knives. I feel like we haven't done a theme segment of a month in quite a while. So I figured I'd take two things that I'm very passionate about, that being the entertainment medium, which is obviously my forte, but another thing that I'm very, very much interested in is obviously pro wrestling. Let's get ready for Wrestling Month. Let's start off Wrestling Month proper with the story of the godfather of Japanese pro wrestling, Rikidozan, a hero extraordinary. A half-Korean, half-Japanese man named Mitsuhiro Momota dreams of one day becoming a top sumo wrestler. Unfortunately, due to abuse and discrimination, he is mistreated by his peers, but ends up entranced by the world of professional wrestling, changing the wrestling world as Rikidozan. The movie delves into the story of Rikidozan, who, if many of you have never heard of him, that's understandable, as he wasn't quite prominent until the fall of World War II. But his style and influence, and obviously his strong style in general, really did elevate and change the world of pro wrestling. But it wasn't just his style that actually helped elevate it. It's the fact that he transitioned from sumo wrestling into what we know as pro wrestling, taking those elements and bringing them to the main stage in the mainstream. It was also crazy because at the time, Japan was in a flux post-World War II, where it was very much uneasy with the American occupation. And because of that, it allowed this kind of fantastical element of Japanese society that did or didn't like the American foreigners into their land, but it allowed Japanese pro wrestling to portray them as. It's interesting to see this kind of thing from the outside in. We have many stories in American pro wrestling where we look at the Iron Sheik and characters in wrestling that portray the evil foreigner invading American soil. And so the concept of seeing us as the invaders on another soil is kind of cool to see from that perspective. Seo Kyung-gyu plays Rikidozan, and he has this sadness but strength about him at the same time that brings about this feeling of, it's hard to explain. It's very much this feeling of a person who's pained, who's not really welcome in society, and he has to make his own way in the world. But through the art of wrestling and his own style and his appreciation from the outside world, he slowly feels like he belongs. Though in Rikidozan's life, his style did elevate the world of professional wrestling in the Japanese world, he also took two men under his wing who would change the world of professional wrestling as a whole, one being the Giant Baba and the other being Antonio Inoki, both of which would go on to form All Japan Pro Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling, respectively, thus expanding an entire world of professional wrestling that we actually now get to enjoy to this day. And if it wasn't for the contributions of Rikidozan and this movie for being able to tell his story, his contributions may have been lost to time. I feel that this is one of those movies that anyone who's a wrestling fan, or anyone who just kind of wants to see a movie about wrestling that's just a great movie in general. And much like the great Rikidozan, if you dig deep enough into this film, you will really truly enjoy yourself. I give Rikidozan, a hero extraordinary, 4 out of 5. Come back for another installment on Wrestling Month. Till then, I'll see you next time.